Alex loved his evenings. The sun dipped below the horizon. The sky turned a fiery orange. He settled onto his porch swing with a glass of iced tea. The gentle rocking soothed him. Tonight, something felt different. An unsettling energy crackled in the air. A low hum vibrated from next door. His neighbor, Grace, always kept to herself. Her house stood shrouded in an eerie silence. That's what made her so mysterious. He took a long sip of his tea. The humming grew louder. It was almost a chant. An uneasy feeling crept up his spine. He tried to ignore it. This was Grace's business. But something told him this was more than met the eye. He peered at her house through the twilight. Each window seemed to hold its breath. What was she doing in there? Alex had always found Grace intriguing. Her silver hair flowed like moonlight. Her eyes held ancient secrets. They sparkled with a strange intensity. He'd sometimes see her tending her garden. She moved with an otherworldly grace. He'd tried to befriend her. He offered her freshly baked cookies. She politely declined. She preferred her solitude. He respected her wishes, but the strange noises gnawed at his curiosity. He remembered snippets of neighborhood gossip. They whispered about her eccentricities. Some called her a recluse, others a witch. He always dismissed them, but tonight their words echoed in his ears. The humming intensified. He felt a chill run down his spine. His heart pounded in his chest. What was going on next door? Next? The once rhythmic hum became a frantic symphony of sounds, clattering, banging. A gut-wrenching shriek pierced the night. Alex gripped the armrests of his swing. His knuckles turned white. Something was terribly wrong. He couldn't ignore it any longer. He had to do something. His feet moved before he could think. He was running towards Grace's house. His pulse pounded in his ears. He pounded on her front door. The sounds from inside abruptly stopped. An eerie silence descended. He waited. No answer. He tried the doorknob. To his surprise, it turned. The door creaked open. The air inside felt thick and heavy. It smelled of burnt herbs and something ancient. Strange symbols glowed on the floor. They pulsed with an ethereal light. In the center of the room, Grace knelt. Her back was to him. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. "Grace!" Alex whispered. She turned, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and relief. "Alex, thank goodness you're here. I didn't mean for..." He rushed to her side. "What's going on? Are you all right?" She pointed a trembling finger towards a shadowy form coalescing in the corner. "It wasn't supposed to be like this," she said, her voice choked with tears. "I was trying to reach my grandmother. I just wanted to see her again, reach her." "What do you mean?" "I found her grimoire," she confessed. "The book of spells. I thought if I performed the ritual I could summon her spirit. But something went wrong. Terribly wrong." Section 5. Face to face with fear. The shadowy form solidified. It towered over them, a menacing silhouette against the flickering candlelight. Its eyes burned with an eerie green fire. It let out a low growl that sent shivers down their spines. Alex's breath caught in his throat. Fear threatened to paralyze him, but he wouldn't let it consume him. Not now. Not with Grace in danger. "Don't be afraid," he whispered to Grace, even as his own voice trembled. He could feel her fear, sharp and cold. He held her hand, offering her a reassuring squeeze. He had to stay strong, for both of them. He stepped forward, putting himself between Grace and the entity. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice surprisingly steady. The entity's growl deepened. It took a menacing step closer. "I am what you summoned," it boomed. "I am the guardian of the veil, and you have disturbed the balance." Section 6. A love that transcends. I didn't mean to," Grace stammered, her voice filled with remorse. "I just wanted to see my grandmother again. I miss her so much." The entity paused, its fiery gaze softening slightly. It seemed to shrink back a little. The anger in its eyes flickered. "Love!" the entity rumbled, its voice less menacing. "You sought to bridge the chasm of death for love? A powerful force indeed." It turned its gaze to Alex, studying him intently. Alex stood his ground. He refused to back down. He wouldn't let anything harm Grace, not while he drew breath. He could feel a warmth spread through him. It wasn't fear, it was something else, something stronger. The entity seemed to sense it too. "You possess a valiant heart," it said to Alex, "to face the unknown with such unwavering resolve." Section 7. The Power Within. The entity looked from Grace to Alex and back again. The air crackled with a new energy. It wasn't entirely malevolent anymore. There was something else there, something akin to curiosity, love and courage, it murmured, as if to itself, a potent combination. Alex felt a surge of his own power. It wasn't magical like Grace's. It was something more primal, more human. It was the unwavering strength of his love for his friends, his family, his community. It was the courage to stand against the shadows, to protect those he cared about. He realized then that courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was facing your fear head-on. It was about standing your ground, even when your knees trembled. He met the entity's gaze with newfound determination. He wouldn't let fear control him. He would face this challenge head-on, for Grace, for himself. He could sense Grace drawing strength from his resolve. Section 8. A bond forged in crisis. The entity swirled, its form becoming less defined, more fluid. The air crackled with energy. The glow of the symbols on the floor intensified, bathing the room in an eerie light. "Your love has swayed the balance," the entity boomed, its voice echoing through the room. Grace's hand tightened around Alex's. He returned the pressure, a silent vow of support. "The veil remains unbroken," the entity continued, "but I have been shown the depths of your love, the strength of your courage. For that, I offer a token of my gratitude." The swirling mass of energy began to coalesce. It shrunk, taking on a new form. The menacing green fire in its eyes dimmed, replaced by a gentle, warm glow. Section 9. The Silence of Peace. The entity now stood before them as a woman. Her form shimmered, almost translucent. She had kind eyes and a warm smile. She radiated an aura of peace and tranquility. "Grandmother?" Grace breathed, her eyes wide with disbelief. The woman smiled. "My dear child," she said, her voice soft and melodious. "Your love has brought me through." Grace rushed to her, embracing her tightly. Tears streamed down her face. Alex watched, his heart filled with a strange mixture of awe and relief. The fear that had gripped him was gone, replaced by a profound sense of peace. Section 10. A New Dawn. The first rays of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold as Grace's grandmother's spirit faded away. The room was silent, the only sound their quiet breaths. The symbols on the floor no longer glowed. They lay dormant, their power spent. Grace turned to Alex, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't been there." He smiled. "We faced it together," he said, "and in doing so, we found something remarkable." He realized then that the unthinkable night had brought them closer than they could have imagined. They had faced their fears, embraced the unknown, and emerged from the shadows stronger than before. As the sun rose higher, bathing the room in its warm light, Alex knew that life in their quiet suburb would never be the same, and neither would he.